walked Benji. And it's about 30 degrees outside. Felt so exhilarating. I went out with some thin sweatpants, some wool socks, this thin long sleeve shirt, and my little winter coat. No mittens, no hat. And to be honest, my coat isn't very thick. And the walk was just exhilarating. It felt so good to be alive. It felt so good to be present with the cold. It made me very aware of my body and myself walking. And I just felt so grateful because I recognized the resilience that I was walking in. The ability to be present in the discomfort and find the silver lining. To look up at the sky and have the sun is shining. It's a little, the sky is full of white haze. It was covering the sun, so it wasn't direct sunlight, but I could still see the sunlight. It's not a gray day. And you know, it's really hitting me that there was a time in my life where I wasn't willing to invest in, and I wasn't able to appreciate the power of small, consistent steps over time. And the truth is that particularly over the last 4 years, I've created a lot of change in habits within my life in terms of my physical health. And this gratitude and appreciation was coming from a place of reflection of the past 5 years, the past 4 years. And that I did not appreciate the power of small changes over time. It wasn't something that I'd ever experienced the power of, so I didn't give it much merit. And then I hit another rock bottom in my life. My life is defined by these beautiful rock bottom moments that have catapulted me into who I am today. It's not glorious as you're going through it. It's freaking scary. But the one that I experienced in 2021 forced me. It gave me no choice but to just freaking start. And when I started, it did not feel like this small little habit was making any bit of a difference. I started the habit of eating breakfast when I woke up within 30 minutes. I started the habit of 2 habits simultaneously. The first habit was to drink a morning elixir with warm water, lemon, salt, ginger, and at the time a little bit of honey, which if I could go back and change something, I wouldn't have taken the honey, but the honey got me to where I am today too, so there's that. So I started drinking my morning elixir when I woke up, and I started eating breakfast. Breakfast was very small. Like, I started heating up bone broth and mixing an egg in it with some ghee or butter, and that gave me protein and fat and electrolytes, minerals. So I would have my little morning elixir and my egg drop soup. And I was recovering from being like bulldozed by a train is what it felt like. Like, my health was roadkill. Like, it was scattered all over. I never knew what the day would present to me because I felt so out of control. I felt riddled with anxiety, fear of the unknown, brain fog, chronic fatigue, and extremely debilitating pain that would travel throughout my body, and it would put me in a panic. It hurt so bad. And so at the time, my two little seeming insignificant habits, 3 months in, I'm not really experiencing like tremendous results, right? Like, I didn't like eating breakfast, and I was not in the habit of being intentional with my mornings because I identified as a non-morning person, have hated mornings my entire life. Elise doesn't do mornings, and the last thing I wanted to do was make like a morning elixir as soon as I woke up, and then like a egg drop soup that didn't taste like the restaurant kind. But 5 years later, I can see that those two small, seemingly insignificant habits built compound interest. It was something that created a foundation that I could build upon. And 3 years later, I started another new habit. I hit another rock bottom, January 2024. And the progress that I had made, now about 85% at this point pain-free. I hit a rock bottom, and I started realizing that I was tremendously inflamed. The pain started coming back, and the brain fog. And things seemed really out of control again. And I was desperate for answers because it didn't seem like what I was doing was working. I changed the food that I ate for 6 weeks and experienced no difference at all. And up until this point, I knew that the food choices I was making, it was not very intentional. And then I discovered that I heard someone say, if you go out, and I'd heard it several times previously, but never really paid attention to it. If you wake up with the sunrise and you go outside, your life will change. Well, I just decided to abandon the discomfort. I decided to say my motivation for change, my motivation to feel better is greater. My desire to feel better is greater than my habit of believing that I'm not a morning person. And so there I was, setting an alarm and going outside for sunrise. And this habit did not take 3 years to produce results. It took about literally 7 days. And of course, over the last 9 months, it hasn't always been easy. My body doesn't always wake me up. Sometimes I have to set an alarm. But I did have to train my body. I had to train myself to go to sleep earlier. I did train myself over the last 9 months to not look at my phone when I wake up, and to plug my phone in my bathroom and not look at any screens about an hour before I go to sleep. Has it been perfect? No. But am I growing this muscle? I would say that I have it like 90% of the time. I am following this new habit of screens. Meaning not looking at my screen in the morning and at night, and protecting my eyes from artificial blue light. And today, the other habit that I've established over the last 3 years, along with breakfast and my morning elixir, is not drinking caffeine until about, which I drink a mushroom coffee and it doesn't have a lot of caffeine in it. So I eliminated caffeine creating cortisol spikes. And I also embraced a practice of using an infrared sauna and a cold plunge over 3 years. But granted, my caffeine habit, the sauna, and the cortisol did not prevent me from completely tanking and hitting rock bottom in January. And that's because I was I had something else that was contributing to my demise that I wasn't aware of. It was like, you hear that looking at your screen is bad, but I didn't grasp it. I didn't understand it. I couldn't comprehend it until I was ready to hear and see and get over my own excuses. And so today, as I'm walking in the 30-degree weather, I am completely exhilarated and overcome with joy and with gratitude and appreciation for this journey. And that I just decided that I was going to create new habits. And even though they didn't pay, even though they did not produce a palpable dopamine approved gratification in that moment, that I just trusted and believed in the process of starting and not giving up, which completely goes against my survival instincts and the way that I've been programmed, because I am a professional procrastinator and I like to just get everything done at once and then feel that great feeling of like having survived another challenge. And creating small, consistent steps over time is the opposite of that. You are depositing faith in your consistency and trusting the unknown, and at some point in the future that your efforts and your intention and your commitment is going to pay off in some way that you have not yet experienced. And I'm so glad. I'm brought to tears that I was able to hear and see and experience and commit and invest in this small intentional habits over time, producing results, because I'm experiencing the results of those actions. And the only difference between this version of myself and a potential other version of myself is I could have easily been 5 years later from that rock bottom in 2021 and have about 15 pharmaceutical prescriptions, be about 20 pounds overweight, and classified disabled, and needing my family to take care of me because I slipped off the edge. And when I take a moment to reflect and appreciate what the pain and the discomfort and the intention that I've had over the last 5 years, and believe me, it has been a roller coaster. There have been a lot of downs and ups. But in closing, this is the first winter, and winter's not over. And I still have to get through the month of February, which is, it's historically for the past 7 years have been the hardest month for me out of the year, the most intense. And so that still awaits me. But in the last 5 years, I have not experienced a winter season, meaning like the outside weather like I have this year. To be able to access peace and hope and joy in a winter month on a 28-degree weather day, it's miraculous for me. And I'm just beyond grateful that I took that chance, that I decided that I was worth it, that I matter, and that I needed to invest in myself, and I needed to come to my own rescue because nobody else in the physical realm was. Nor was it anybody else's job but my own. Because it's my birthright to experience love and worth from the inside. I wasn't designed and born here to be a chaser and a seeker of external validation and love. But because I'm reclaiming that worth inside of me and decided to show up for myself, my body now, my hormones, everything within me is agreeing to those actions. So you're worth going for. You're worth waiting for. You are worth putting in the time and waiting for the beauty to unravel and unfold in the mystery of your body, restoring. You're worth it, and it's worth it.